Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're really excited to start our second day of the Bonn International Rights of Nature Tribunal. And I just wanted to say a few words for those of you who were not here yesterday so that there's some orientation to the tribunal today. The tribunal has its origins in Quito. We had our first International Rights of Nature Tribunal there in January of 2014. And then some of you might know that the Global South has a very powerful history of people's tribunals, which has empowered grassroots movements and brought attention to vital issues for many, many years. So we really wanted to acknowledge that we're taking some of these models from people who have been engaged in these kind of movements for a very long time. Then since the Ecuador International Tribunal, the Global Alliance for Rights of Nature, who's really the convening body for the tribunals, also held one in Lima, Peru in December of 2014, and in Paris, France in December of 2015 during the UN climate talks there. That was a very prominent moment for all of us. And we've specifically chosen to have these tribunals in parallel to the UN climate talks because we're really offering a different worldview, a different understanding of governance, and a very different approach to how we care for nature that is not based on market mechanisms and many of the kinds of things that we're seeing happening in international governments around the world. So we're really offering this as a different view and a different approach that we think is absolutely vital in the crises that we're now facing. The Rights of Nature tribunals are intended to examine and make formal observations on rights violations that have remained outside the consideration of formal governmental institutions. And they are also a way for us to really imagine together what does it look like for us to have a court of law and governance structures that are actually just and serve people and planet, and really have a very different analysis than we're used to in terms of domination over nature and an understanding that we're really part and particle of the web of life. And how do we really have a governance structure that allows for that to happen and really opposes these market-based forces? And this is something that we also are very much looking to our indigenous relatives, our indigenous sisters and brothers, for how they have been living in harmony with nature for a very long time. So we also know and want to acknowledge that base in indigenous knowledge. Today's tribunal is focusing on violations of the rights of nature and human rights violations by industry and larger governance systems. We are placing on trial, this is really important because you're going to hear a lot of different cases, we're putting on trial our current legal and economic systems that are legalizing and monetizing the destruction of nature. What we're saying is that given the multiple crises of our time, from climate chaos to environmental and social injustices, clearly our systems are not working. In other words, we need to put the entire system that we're in, the paradigm that we're in, on trial and really begin to address root causes. Rights of nature is a new yet very ancient framework, as I say, with its origins in indigenous knowledge about living in respect with nature. In the Rights of Nature movement, we recognize that nature has inherent rights and is not merely property for human use. And I think this is really a key component that we're really needing to understand, that we can no longer view nature as property as most of our legal frameworks now do. We have to also clearly see the disastrous ways of this thinking, of really seeing the commodification and financialization of nature as how to relate to nature. In essence, we need a new DNA, a new framework to pull from. I think what's also very exciting, and I'll just have this sort of be the closing of my comments, is that we are really gaining momentum in the movement. At the national level in 2008, Ecuador became the first country in the world to have the recognition of rights of nature at the constitutional level. Additionally, Bolivia has established 11 rights of nature laws after hosting the world's People's Conference on Climate Change and the Rights of Mother Earth in April 2010. Some of you might be aware of that really important gathering that happened after really the failure of the Copenhagen negotiations in 2009. And what was really important about that gathering also is that it produced the Universal Declaration of the Rights of Mother Earth. And there's some of the judges on stage who were very engaged actually in the writing of the declaration, and we use that as a foundational document for these tribunals. Though there are serious issues with the implementation of rights of nature laws, in Ecuador and in Bolivia, we still see it as a great success for the movement that these laws were brought into these countries at a national level, and I think that that's very important to continue to highlight that. This work also involves changing laws to recognize that natural communities and ecosystems possess a fundamental right to exist and flourish, and that residents of those communities possess the legal authority to enforce those rights on behalf of those ecosystems. So in other words, we living in our community should have the right to say what is happening to our water, to our air, to the mountains in our community. This should not be in the hands of corporations and any entities that are not part of our community and make decisions for us. We need to have that authority ourselves. Local rights of nature ordinances today are protecting communities from harmful practices such as shale gas drilling and fracking, and there have been over 36 ordinances that have passed in the United States and are in effect now. In March this year, there was a transformative progress for the rights of nature movement in that New Zealand, in the parliament there, passed the Te Awa Tupa Act, giving the Waganawe River and the ecosystem's legal standing, guaranteeing this river's health and well-being. India ruled that the Ganges and Yamuna rivers have the status of a legal person with all corresponding rights, duties, and liabilities in order to preserve and conserve them. So the Waganawe has witnessed a century-old struggle between the indigenous iwi people and the New Zealand government over the treatment of the river. So this is really an amazing breakthrough, and the iwi consider themselves and the Waganawe as completely connected, and this is what we're seeing with indigenous knowledge all over the world, and something that I think has been very strong in our movements more and more is to not just say that we're here to protect nature, but that we are nature, and this is fundamentally a different viewpoint. The iwi say, I am the river and the river is me. And now in New Zealand and India, they have recognized the intrinsic rights of rivers beyond their use for humans. And I think, again, this is moving us out of this dominator view of nature, but that we are part and particle of nature. The tribunal is intended to increase public awareness of the ways in which fundamental flaws in our legal and economic systems negatively impact the natural world and people. And we want to demonstrate how the rights of nature movement offers a very viable tool to achieve flourishing communities of people and nature thriving together. So thank you so much for joining us today, and I hand it back to our secretariat. Thank you.
Good morning. Buenos dias. Bihana washte. That's what we say back home with my people. Good morning. Before we start with my comments, I want to say a few words that puts our mind and our heart together. I hope everyone has their translation equipment. There is equipment available for everyone for translation. And when we talk about spirit, it's very important. I was signed on to this statement earlier that talks about spirit, the ancient spirit. As an indigenous man from North America, from what they call United States, our tribe of peoples, we have many tribes, over 1,000 different tribes in Alaska, Canada, and United States. Just alone those regions, we have over 1,000 tribes. We have many different interpretations of our cosmos vision, our spirituality, our languages, the way that we conduct our business every day. Some of our people are more removed from their ancient wisdom that have been assimilated, that have been acculturated by the encroachment of the modern world, the colonizers who came to our shores. So in the United States and in Canada, including Alaska, Alaska, we have a diversity of indigenous peoples, some more embracing what we call the white man way than our old ancient way of being. So we are sometimes challenged with the interests of the non-indigenous peoples, the people of the world who are thirsty for our ancient indigenous knowledge. And we are always a loving people as indigenous peoples. You find that we love the earth, we love people, we love the plants, yes. And so we're always willing to share our knowledge, our wisdom. And these circles are always interesting to me because the people who are not indigenous, who come thirsty to learn something from the indigenous peoples, sometimes they see contradictions in us as indigenous peoples. They wonder why I don't wear my feathers when I come here, or why I don't wear my moccasins, my shoes of leather and quill work from the porcupine. And for me, if I wear my feathers come here, when I come back to the United States, they confiscate my feathers because the government of the United States considers many of our birds endangered species, migratory birds. So we have our own way of gathering our feathers from our sacred birds. And the US government, including Canada, doesn't allow us to be free in maintaining and gathering our feathers. We have to get permission with a piece of paper to have a feather in our possession. If we don't have a piece of paper from the federal government, the government takes our feathers away. So we are proud and honor our American, our eagle, the bald eagle feathers. So those are some of the history that I wanted to say when we talk about the spirit and the wisdom of indigenous peoples. So as you heard yesterday in the presentations of our indigenous peoples of the land, we are struggling for our survival. We are struggling for our rights to live. And you saw some of the intimidation, the harassment, even threats of assassination of indigenous peoples who stand up to defend their rights. We are a threat to what we are coming together to do here, to help be a voice to change the world on how it understands the respect and recognition of the sacredness of our woman of the forest, our sacred woman of the forest, our Mother Earth, and those of us that stand up to defend ourselves as indigenous people, to demand our rights be recognized. Somehow we are a threat by the corporations. We're a threat to the governments. It's a life and death issue of this quest to change the legal regime of the world that has been formed to look at nature as a property right regime. For us to join into that movement, there is danger as we lift up these issues. That's why, as indigenous peoples, whether we're in the north or the south, we need the world. We need the people here from Germany. We need the people to help support and defend what we are doing back home. So I wanted to say those few things. First of all, the protocols around us. One of our people in the Global Alliance on the Rights of Nature said yesterday, reminding us that we look at the legal instruments, the laws of the governments that have been defined around a property right system, a property right regime. And we're looking at the concepts of earth laws, Mother Earth jurisprudence, these systems. And she reminded us, we're talking about the question of our responsibilities, our duties, especially the word duties and responsibilities. So the people who are here from Germany, the people that have gathered here, the question is, how do we implement a new, deeper concept and consciousness of your responsibilities, your duties as an individual, to respect the concepts of Mother Earth, but also the cosmovision, Father Sky, all of nature, the plants, the roots, the trees, everything, that they have a conscience and a spirit. So with that, I wanted to say that, and I wanted to sing this song that is a song that was taught to me that goes back thousands of years. Imagine a song that we can say goes back thousands of years. And we are doing everything we can within our people, within back home. I carry two lineage, the Dakota, the Sioux. Some of you know our people as the Sioux, as the Dakota. But also my mom, we are Dene, we are the Navajo, we have Dene from the north in Canada and Alaska, and Dene in the southwest of the United States. So this is on our Dakota teachings, a song that goes back 1,000 years. So in your mind, as I sing this song, imagine you going back to that beginning of time, in the genesis of who we are, and bringing you back to the present so that you can be focused to take part in this meeting, as the judges have a duty and responsibility to be open to listening to what you have to say. As you, as an audience, you have a duty and responsibility to break loose of those things that keep you contained from understanding the concepts of your connection to the sacredness of Mother Earth and the creative female principle of Mother Earth and Father Sky, which equals the natural cycle, the natural laws, our natural laws as indigenous peoples. So this song is all about that. It's in a different language. We don't speak back home like the language here, but it all means similar, the same thing. And the prosecutors are opening up their awareness to be open on their duties and responsibilities as they do this, and the translators who are always doing the best they can to translate the languages and to think. For those of you that have to think in two languages, I have to do that too. I'm sometimes slow because I'm thinking and breaking it down so it comes out right. I'm more fluent in English because I come from the US. I've been able to think and dream in different languages, to dream. We tease each other back home. Did you dream in Dakota, or did you dream in Dene, or did you dream in English? Okay. I'm going to sing this song. I'd like to ask you to stand if you're able to. So this is a full direction song. Full direction song. And this is our relative, the bird nation, the eagle. And you heard the concept of the eagle of the north, the condor of the south, or the panther of the north and the jaguar of the Amazon. It's all the same. This is the bird that's flying above, a messenger between us as two-legged people and the heavens, the cosmos. Okay? How? Thank you.